So for those of you that don't know Karbon, Karbon's a housing association. We own and manage almost 30,000 homes across the North East and Yorkshire for affordable and social rent. Our mission is to provide a strong foundation for life, and we've got three main strategic aims. One is to provide as many good quality homes as we can. One's to deliver an excellent service for our customers, and then the other is to develop and shape strong, sustainable places for our communities. A lot of our homes, particularly those around the York area, are in quite economically prosperous areas, but we've also got a significant proportion of our stock in ex-mining or industrial communities that are characterised by low housing demand and long-standing economic and social inequality and exclusion. And one of the areas of highest concentration of our homes is County Durham, and specifically in and around Stanley in County Durham. And here we own almost a quarter of all of the residential homes in the town. And it was actually the sort of challenges and opportunities and needs of Stanley that led Karbon to the foundational economy, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in a second. So our on-the-ground experience of working in places like Stanley was that the benefits of a traditional economic development approach, which is focused around the agglomeration benefits of city regions and the role of high-skill, high-productivity sectors in driving GVA and GDP, just wasn't trickling down to places like Stanley as it was sort of supposed to. So, to start off with, why did Stanley matter to us? I mean, we're a housing association. We could have just got on with renting our homes at an affordable rent. Well, partly it was because we recognised that the economic strength of Stanley had a direct impact on our customers' life chances, health and happiness. So for us, it was just the right thing for us to do. But we also viewed the fact that we were so embedded in Stanley, not only as a major housing provider, but also as a significant employer, a significant purchaser and a significant partner, is really giving us a responsibility to support and work with people who live there, many of whom are our customers. So although it was clear to us that a traditional economic development approach wasn't working in places like Stanley, we were really struggling to find an alternative model to guide our role or the investments that we might choose to make in that area. There are obviously concepts like place shaping, housing plus agenda anchor institutions, that we were really looking for a more conceptual framework for how a housing association could positively impact its local economy. So fortunately, we were pointed in the direction of the foundational economy and how some Welsh housing associations had begun to apply that approach to a similar set of problems there. For those of you that haven't come across the foundational economy, it's a relatively newly adopted concept, and it denotes both an economic activity and approach. So as a type of economic activity, it refers to the goods, services and infrastructure that we all use on a daily basis, which are really essential to our quality of life. So housing, transport, health, social care, but also businesses like food shops, hairdressers, gyms, leisure, all of those things that, make up a good quality life. And in trying to focus on foundational economy, it shifts the role of public policy from one of seeking to boost private consumption through delivering economic growth through next generation high skilled industries to one which really focuses on enabling citizens to live lives worth living through trying to improve the quantity, quality and affordability of foundational services. And it measures the impact through something called residual household income. And that's money left in a combined household's pocket after tax benefits and expenditure on transport, utilities and housing. And we felt that that was a better measure than measures like social return on investment or GDP, because it's really strongly focused on money in people's pockets to be able to spend to live in a sort of an inclusive and a whole life. The foundational economy movement's based on several core principles. Those include being asset-based, learning from experiments, so similar to Mark's theme there, and combining a top-down and bottom-up approach, which is strongly focused around being participatory and partnership-based. So we decided to kick off a pilot study in Stanley based on some of the foundational economy principles and thinking. The approach that we took was as you would expect. So we mapped out anchor institutions and we commissioned a qualitative assessment of Stanley's key characteristics and levels of residual household income. The most important element of what we did, though, was consultation co-creation. So we held a series of meetings and workshops with Karbon's colleagues, local teams, residents from Stanley and other local partners, particularly the area action partnerships there, and also particularly local councillors. And all of those workshops and meetings were aimed to really understand a ground-up perspective of the challenges and opportunities faced within Karbon, but also the role that they felt that Karbon could play in building on those and strengthening the foundational economy and residual household income. So we completed the first stage of the pilot, and we're going to be publishing that imminently. The second phase of the pilot will be to engage more deeply with the residents in Stanley and the local community on the long list of interventions. And the purpose of this is to prioritise in what and how we invest to maximise impact on residual household income. And just to give you a flavour of some of the things that we're looking at, it would include understanding on a much more granular level the true affordability of our rents and service charges. So we know that we are very, very affordable, but we also feel that there are probably pockets of unaffordability, probably particularly focused around single adult households. We wanted to look at whether or not we need to do more to ensure that our core suppliers pay a local living wage. We do, but do all of our suppliers. We wanted to understand whether or not we could better leverage the procurement power of our spend, so directing it more maybe towards SMEs and the local economy. Look at whether or not there's more that we could do to work with and support small local businesses, training suppliers or other third sector bodies, particularly around employment and employability, because we know that there's some key themes in Stanley. Thinking about the role and use of our community buildings. So we do have some on Stanley Front Street, and the role that we could play in helping to improve the physical attractiveness and economic utility of the high street. And then finally, we wanted to particularly explore how best to task the mammoth approach that we've got of retrofitting our homes in a way that not only brings them up to carbon neutrality and helps with fuel poverty, but in a way that could also stimulate employment training and business opportunities within Stanley area as well. So thinking about what we've learned so far, we've learned that we can't do this everywhere. It's resource and time intensive. It needs to be limited to a number of areas where we've got agency. So for us, agency is a concentration of homes and a long-term interest in the place. And it also needs to have need. Not all of the communities in which we work have that need. We know that we can't do it on our own. It needs to be taken forward in areas where we're viewed as a valuable partner and we're welcomed. We actually started piloting this somewhere else, and the vibes that we got there were like, why is Carpenter doing this? You don't really have a role in this. And we just thought, you know what, in places like this, it's going to be too much of an uphill battle. And we also suspect that it will be more effective in places that have an active local democratic forum, so an active and effective town council, and or an existing high level of CSV activity and on the ground activation and engagement. Principles that underpin this work. So this is different from other place-based housing interventions in that this explicitly has a strong and direct link and aim around strengthening the local economy, so tackling the underlying causes rather than the effects of poverty. It's holistic in being a whole place-based, whole place, whole life approach, so very much looking at a whole person and the whole community, and it's consciously bottom-up, collaborative and experimental. So that's a brief canter through how we at Karbon are looking at, how we might be able to do things differently as part of our place agenda, and I'm looking forward to hearing similarities or differences with other approaches this morning. Thank you.